this location for a reason. Is there a point you want to make that is in front of us at this park?
Yeah, fentanyl is killing our city. It's killing our nations, and our nation, excuse me. And where I had control is in the city of Tucson. And my firm belief is our nation is in the shape it's in because we've given up on our city, one city at a time. We've allowed for the open borders, we've allowed for fentanyl to seep across our borders, and we've allowed for people to take over our park and not face their addictions. And so, with that, I decided to run for mayor to restore law and order and get these people help. This is not a humane condition for people sleeping in the park and using the substances that they're using. And each time they use that substance, they're risking their lives. And so I brought us here because it seems to have become perfectly acceptable in our culture to allow for people to camp in our parks rather than those parks being enjoyed by the citizens that paid for the park. Look at this parking lot here, and look at the condition of this parking lot. I had a four-wheel to get into here. It's not meant in design, it's not being maintained for the people of Tucson. Instead, it is being turned over to a homeless culture.
Now, the homeless are everywhere. Do you know of any cities anywhere that's really successfully gotten a handle on this?
Nashville has gotten a good handle on it. One of the programs that they use, they combine receiving treatment with housing, with city employment. So those people receiving housing and treatment from the city are also obligated to work for that city 20 hours a week, and they keep that pay. Another thing I believe is that work is important for our soul. It gives us a sense of accomplishment and encouragement. And we need to work on facilitating care through qualified programs, not city programs, qualified programs, but facilitating work through the city of Tucson. The city of Tucson is a very large employer here in Tucson, and it currently is understaffed. They can offer a huge leg up for the homeless population.
Now, what you were just suggesting, except for the work element, the city seems like it's doing at least pieces of what you're talking about.
The city is engaged in the Housing First program. The Housing First program was formed under Barack Obama. It's a highly unsuccessful program. It's housing without accountability, meaning those individuals can continue to use drugs and they can continue to they do not receive the mental health care they need. And you can tell, and this park here is mild. There are across town. Look at 100-acre woods and the encampments there. It's across town. The city has failed on this issue. And that failure is because they're not addressing the root cause. And I fully acknowledge that not every person living on the streets is because of substance abuse. But we know roughly 80% are the result of fentanyl and methamphetamine usage. We also know that our charitable organizations at any given time are only operating at 61% capacity. And others that are not included in those numbers are actually operating at 50% capacity because there's accountability. This experiment of do whatever you want is not working.
Sometimes when I talk with the various shelter organizations that are saying the same capacity issue you're talking about, the vacancies unused, they say, well, we want to set some ground rules. There's a percentage of folks who don't want to abide by them. We can't compel them. What could you do?
Well, if they're selling substances or using substances and refuse help, then they need to be incarcerated. And once they are released from their incarceration, then we need to help them assimilate back into normal life. And again, I believe the city can be a strong employer, a strong source for people who are released after being incarcerated.
We better pause for this helicopter. I don't want you to get drowned out.
You know, they have to land though. So before
Yeah.
before I worked for the city manager's office, I was a fire inspector for UMC. And they have to practice landing on the helipad because UMC, or Spanner now, was the only trauma hospital in Tucson. And I was up there doing an inspection on the helipad, and that thing came down, and of course, naturally, I got out of the way. They're massive. So anyhow.
I was at a demonstration where they had the Chinooks, the ones where the two
Uh-huh.
big blades, and it's just about to get to takeoff power, and I'm realizing, you know, if I don't sit down, I'm going to get blown down.
Uh-huh.
So I sat down and I watched people get blown down around
Wow.
me. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. Now, a lot of things you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
are examples of national and international issues colliding with the city. And as somebody who was on the city staff, you understand that the mayor basically has the power to set policy if the mayor can bring the rest of the council along.
Yes, sir.
But the mayor doesn't have executive authority. That's in the city manager. So what as mayor can you do on these things?
Well, for the first time in decades, we have 4 Republican candidates running in this city election. Ballots mailed tomorrow, and they need to be returned by mail by October 31st. And we have the opportunity, Tucson has the opportunity to change this government that is failing. They're falling down on the job. We have Victoria Lemon in Ward 1, Ernie Shack in Ward 2, Ross Kaplowitz in Ward 4, and me for mayor. That would give me a whole lot of control to manage policy. Now, the city manager reports to the mayor, and the city manager is responsible for running the departments, as you know. And one of those departments is the police department. That police department is grossly understaffed, and it was a direct result of city policy voted by the current mayor and council, the vaccine mandate, the Black Lives Matter sidewalk, the ruling against the thin blue line. We had a horrible attrition, and that doesn't help with enforcing our laws. So I would suggest that the city manager, in partner with the chief of police, figure out a recruitment package. And the mayor and council, the Republican majority mayor and council, will assure they have adequate funding to staff those departments. Now remember, it's public safety. So that's including fire and 911 operators, to adequately staff those departments and enforce our laws.
Now, when we talk to the police about recruitment fairly often, and they say, well, it's getting a little bit better, but to a great degree, they're fishing but not catching. Mm-hmm. Are they being? I'm trying to make sure you're not getting drowned out again.
I know.
Well,
we're just go.
All right, so
planes all the time.
All right, so are they doing? Are police not trying hard enough, or it's the other cultural working atmosphere issues that's working against them?
I think it's a combination of wages. The city of Tucson is still lower than the surrounding cities. As a matter of fact, I think I just read, so this is a think, I'm not gonna be the aficionado on it, but it was the city of Tucson starts at roughly 65,000 per year. Salarita is offering 85,000 per year. That's quite a difference. So, you know, look, I left my employer, a defense contractor here in Tucson, for another defense contractor because I received a 20K bump. And I'm not putting my life on the line. These officers and these 911 operators who are dealing with chaos, and our firefighters are putting their life on the line, and they're not adequately paid, neither are they supported. We saw a deterioration of the morale, and our 911 operators are also operating light staff and long hours, and they are paid very low. Can you imagine what a tremendously challenging job that would be to have.
Now, on police pay and so many other issues, the shadow over everything is where you get the money.
Oh, that's easy. The mayor and council reallocated funds in the 2022 budget and the 2023 budget. They created a program under Mike Ortega called the Community Enrichment Program, and much of that is used for the Housing First program that is failing, environmental changes, or environmental causes, and it's 1/3, approximately 1/3. I like to work in approximates. I do contracts, not finance. Approximately 1/3 of the city budget, where we need to focus our budget, is on law and order, transportation, and restoring our parks. And then we can move on to other things. But until we have total focus, total fiscal responsibility, nothing is going to change.
A lot of times that money is federal money that has certain strings attached.
I'm
Is that
talking,
true in this case?
No, talking from the general fund.
Okay.
That's from the general fund. There is federal money coming in. It's coming in to support illegal aliens that are being housed here in Tucson. I can tell you I'm adamantly against an open border, and I'm adamantly against accepting federal funds. We just saw what happened in Israel. We are bringing in illegal aliens, unvetted, housing them in our communities, and we have no idea of what they're capable of. I am a second-generation American. My grandmother came over from Wales. Legal migration works. There's a process for it. Illegal migration puts us all in jeopardy. So it was kind of a nice segue, so I grabbed it. But yeah, we're taking in federal funds, but guess what? That's our tax dollars too. So we're misappropriating city tax dollars, and we're also misappropriating federal tax dollars in our city government.
So even with the shelters we see here, CBP has shown that no shelter space out onto the street. Is that better? Because they may end up out of the street.
No, I think it's the federal government's problem, and we don't house them in Tucson. Period.
What as mayor can you do to
I
help that happen?
I can stop accepting federal funds, and I can certainly consider moving our migrants to sanctuary states. We are not a sanctuary state. We voted against that. Arizona is not a sanctuary state, and yet we've created this pseudo sanctuary here in Tucson.
Again, you're going to have backup on council for this.
Yes, I do. That's why Tucson has to vote. If you want a change in the direction of your community, vote Republican. Vote for strong, fiscal, conservative candidates. And we've seen in the past where we've had strong Republican mayor and council. They are elected officials. I like to stay away from the term leadership, leaders. No, the mayor and council are elected officials, and they are emboldened to you, to me, to these people, to their citizens. But they've managed the budget with responsibility. And remember, the city charter, the mayor's job is super easy. And the council's job is super easy. You know why? Because the city charter tells them exactly what their duties are and what they have to provide. Public safety, roads, transportation, underground infrastructure, and our parks. The city was written a while ago, but our parks are important for a healthy community.
And no mayor candidate interview can miss a discussion of roads.
Right.
How'd you fix that one?
Again, it's about putting the dollars where the dollars are most needed. There was a great deal of funding put towards climate change. And I, for one, believe it is very important to take care of your environment. But Tucson, the dollars Tucson spends towards ending climate change is not going to have one iota of impact on the world. We need to focus in where Tucson is broken. And again, the roads. My Eurovent, I love that Eurovent. I've had it. I was the first. How do you say that? I'm the only owner. I don't know how to say it. There's a first buyer or something like that. I broke a a shafty thing. This is where I get to show my ignorance in car maintenance. But I broke the thing, a strut on the back, going over a pothole right here in town, right down the street here. Fortunately, I have a partner, my great partner Greg, that can fix them for me, and hence my ignorance on car repair things. But I'm willing to bet many of us have had that experience.
Now, the city is touting, oh, look at the fresh pavement we're doing with the help of that recent prop. Mm-hmm. Is that a good approach?
Well, yes and no, but repaving isn't rebuilding. And many of our roads are in need of rebuilding. And resurfacing, yes, can have a road, make a road longevity last longer, but it's not a fix for these roads that I realize this is a parking lot, but you would really just have to dig this up and replace it. A lot of 411 funding is also going towards bike lanes, and it's going towards road diets. Are you familiar with road diets? Maybe your audience is not, and that's where they block off a lane and designate that lane for bikes. So now you have less vehicular traffic. I'm not sure the benefit, because what you do create then is congestion, which creates more pollutants.
Now, they are taking some streets down to the bare bed, because we ended up with some video of them doing it.
And to be fair, but those are few and far between.
Yeah.
I know they did Oracle in no time flat, and they used a series of vehicles that took them down, recycled that asphalt. Remember, asphalt is like 95% recyclable. So that should keep your costs down. Of course, it's the process of recycling, and then resurface that in just a matter of a couple weeks. I drive up here to Pantano and 22nd, between Pantano and Broadway. They've been working on that road for as long as I've been running for mayor. And I decided to run in March. That's a bit of a problem.
Things don't happen fast in that work, but yes. So I once asked the city, well, why do you have parallel projects near each other? Because like if there's work on Speedway, you might go to Broadway to avoid it. It's like, whoa, they're working on Broadway. He said they bid together so they can share equipment back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've seen the fallout from that as well. It's now, and I don't know if you've noticed this. I'm sure your viewers have, where people are now using residential streets to get around some of the disasters on our roads, like Campbell. I live close to the Campbell area, and they put in these medians with these big trees, and it really slowed down traffic. So now people go around Prince and through the residential area to avoid the traffic, where people use Columbus a lot to avoid the traffic on the major streets. And that's not a great environment either. I would be very interested, and I'm certainly not an expert in this area, how are our signal lights timed? And are they timed the best way to have traffic flow freely? But that's just a curiosity for me. And you have a whole group of people running departments, but I'd like to see them run their departments better.
Excuse me, just 1 second while I check some notes here that my phone went to sleep.
Oh.
I think we've got this. I think we've hit most of the high points: crime, street, fentanyl, homeless, immigration. Anything else you want to add here?
Well, I will add this. Poverty is a huge problem in Tucson, 19.8%. We need to attract businesses, and in order to do that, we do need to restore law and order, fix our roads, and create business-friendly policies. Tucson has a horrible reputation of being business unfriendly. When I worked in the city manager's office, I remember this man who was opening a local coffee shop downtown, and it took him months to get the permits he needed to build that coffee shop. So we need to do better. We need to attract businesses, but it does boil down to what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? And I say it's going to be the egg, and that's going to be with the rebirth of our police department. It's going to be with creating a city and of Tucson employment pool that is the incubator for talent. And then, God willing, those people get managed up and they leave city employment and move in and be that talent that so many businesses can't find here in Tucson.
I think that's going to do it, unless there's anything you want to add any further.
I'll say this.
Okay.
We fight fentanyl. We vastly reduce poverty. We vastly reduce crime. And we vastly reduce homelessness. And that's why it's my #1 priority.
We need to hold still for a minute. Jim's got to rotate around and get some shots from other angles.